Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So in this video I want to talk to you about that I think I was wrong in my last video and I didn't say some things clearly about Palantir and my predictions, and this might have caused some confusion and I realized it, so I want to make it right. And I want to make another very short video about what I really think is going to happen with Palantir earnings. And this is not going to replace what I said in the last video, so if you're interested in that, please check it out because it gives very good data about what to expect from Palantir, but maybe it was a bit too negative and the title was too negative. So I really want to clear it up. And this is that video. So as always, if you like it, please make sure you subscribe. You hit the button that is somewhere over there on YouTube so you don't miss any of the new videos. All right, let's go. So in my last video, I was not very clear about one thing. I think Wall Street is not going to like the earnings because it will probably show a not fast enough growth and some other things that I'm going to go into. But it's going to be a fantastic earnings for long-term investors. So in this video, I'm going to show you what the short-term investors are not going to like, what the long-term investors are going to like, and what would have to happen for the stock to shoot up after the earnings, okay? And in the last video, I was strictly speaking about the reporting of the results and not the earnings call, because there can be things said in the earnings call that make the stock skyrocket, and that was also not very clear. So what is it that Wall Street will not like? So I'm pretty sure that the international growth is still going to be very slow, and they're going to bring this up as a point that Palantir is supposed to be a growth company and they're not really growing, and the commercial is not really growing. And this will, have to do with foreign exchange headwinds and certain other things. There can be further acceleration in deceleration. I missed it, sorry. I know it says acceleration, but so there can be further deceleration in the commercial segment in Palantir, where they are only, again, quote unquote, only expanding 50%. And this can make Wall Street, say like, sell everything, quit Palantir. They are a horrible company. There can be margin compression. Again, I did another video about understanding Palantir's business model. Really, really, really good video. It's one of the most popular videos on the channel. I will link it here if you want to watch it. But basically, when Palantir gets more customers, which is very good on the long term, in the short term, it compresses margins. So as Palantir has been announcing that they're getting deals left, right, and center, logically, if my thesis about Palantir's business model is correct, you should see a margin compression. And that's, again, something that is going to make the Wall Streeters, rip their hair out and say that this company is horrible. So what is it going to be for long-term investors? So the number of new customers added will probably significantly increase. Again, if you have been following the news, just in September alone, they added like $900 million of new contracts. And since then, it has been, left, right, and center news about contract expansion and new contracts. So the number of new customers is going to be significantly higher. And as I've said many times, this is the most important thing that for Palantir. So if I would have to skip the earnings call, this would be the only data that I would like to know. If they're expanding customers, I'm very calm about the company. I'm very calm about my thesis. If they're losing customers, I'm shitting my pants and I might have to reevaluate my thesis. I want to see the dollar net retention per customer stay high or even higher. And I purposely said stay high because if it becomes 118% or 117% as opposed to 118%, I don't care. If it becomes 105%, that's pretty bad, right? And if it increases, it's even good. It's still a very, very high number, and I don't expect that this will be any surprise. And there might be a reacceleration of the government sector, which already happened last quarter. And this would be a very good sign and showing that their investments of, what they did in Ukraine and the other press conferences and all this Davos stuff is really working and paying off for them. But this is really it. This is like, and again, number one is the new customers. You just hear that if they're getting more customers, you can quit listening to the earnings call. That is the most important data. Then second order is the net retention, and then if the government is accelerating, that's just a cherry on the cake. But all of these just show that your thesis is alive and well, and this is really this company that you can, at least according to my thesis, that you can invest in the next 10, 20 years and just let it run. And I want to emphasize that really lately Palantir has been doing everything right. Karp has been very sharp and normal. He was speaking like a human. Other people could understand him. He wasn't banging on the table, wasn't doing crazy things. They have really changed the way how they communicate their business with the foundry conventions that they have done. Fantastic. They are really able to shift the narrative around the company, because a few years ago they were this secretive spy CIA company, and no one talks about that anymore. Now the talk is about that they are this cool data analytics company. Maybe the cool is not there in yet, but the point is that they're getting far away from that they are this like CIA spy company, and they're finding very good ways of how to expand their market. They have opened up Foundry Marketplace, which will open up Foundry to way more developers, and that is also very important, that if a company starts implementing Foundry, that they have an easy time finding developers that are able to work with the system. And there has been just so many new contracts and partnerships announced, and etc., etc. Again, they have been doing everything right. So what would have to happen for the stock to blow up? So again, it's not going to be the numbers. Their guidance was very, very low. And even if they just come in, or they come in beating everything that they have guided for, it's going to be still very low and slow growth. And it's just not going to be sexy. So I don't think that the numbers are going to help anything, but the earnings call can really have a few surprises. So they could reiterate that they see a very clear way to grow 30% on a multi-year horizon. This is something that they took away and has caused the stock price to drop significantly. If they put this back, it can make and explain it really well. It has to be explained very logically. That could make the stock price skyrocket. If they would guide for significant margin expansion, because they are having a lot of new customers, and again, maybe they could explain that this is going to be the margin, but then all the customers that we acquired a few years ago is going to really expand on the margin, and in 2025 we seem to be profitable, or 2024 we seem to be profitable. This would be a big leg up for the stock. And if they could explain more what Foundry Marketplace does, and by explaining more, I will say just give any explanation, because they conveniently cut off the live stream when they talked about this Foundry Marketplace, and they would explain how their new go-to-market strategy is working. Again, from everything that we can see, they're doing really, really amazing, but they're doing it the Palantir style and not really explaining what is happening behind the scenes. And if LX Corp acts normal and doesn't bang on the table, for some reason, some people have a really big button on how LX Corp acts and what he does, which is very funny, because you are in a way investing in LX Corp and he is not going to change. So if you really have a problem with this guy, don't invest in Palantir. It's not the right company for you. But don't have your hopes up. Don't have your hopes up that we're going to blow up after the earnings call. I think it's much more likely that even if we beat expectations, that the things that they have guided for is already baked in, and it's not going to cause a big reaction on the stock price. And as I said, the numbers are not going to be good for Wall Street, but it's going to be, the earnings call is going to be, and the whole report and results is very good for long-term investors, but it's not for the short term. So stay tuned. I'm going to show you my updated Palantir thesis after the phone call, after the earnings call. All the price targets updated, and if you want to get access to it, you can check out the Patreon link in the description box below, where you can support the channel, get direct access to me, and get all my valuations tables, so you can, use and plug in your own assumptions and see where it gets you. So if you want that, check out the Patreon link and stay tuned. I'm very curious. It's 2 more days and we get the earnings call. So see you guys then. Have a nice weekend. Ciao, ciao.